At the beginning of my first year at Boyce, last August or whatever, I came here in complete and utter fear. I was out of control of every situation that I was going to face, and that terrified me. I wish that I could say that the first thing went that I depended on was the Lord, but I did not. It took me about a month to finally see my need to completely depend on the Lord in times that were just riddled with uncertainty and a lack of control, and and just like depending on God in a time where the future was darkness. There was no way of knowing what was going to happen, and what and who we cling to when we are riddled with confusion and fear and a lack of control shows us what our heart depends on. And thankfully for me, David, because he was a man after God's own heart, he shows us in Psalm 63 what a um, what a dependence on God looks like when it is your first priority and not something you look to after you realize that you have nowhere else to go. So, this is what God says. O God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My flesh faints for you, as in a dry and weary land where there is no water. So I have looked upon you in the sanctuary and beheld your power and glory. Because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips will praise you. So I will bless you as long as I live, and your name I will lift up in my hands. My soul will be satisfied as with fat and rich foods, and my mouth will praise you with joyful lips. When I remember you upon my bed, and I meditate on you in the watches of the night, for you have been my help, and in the shadow of your wings I will sing for joy. My soul clings to you, your right hand upholds me. But those who seek to destroy me or destroy my life shall go down into the depths of the earth. They shall be given over to the power of the sword. They shall be a portion for jackals. But the king shall rejoice in God. All who swear by him shall exult. For the mouths of liars will be stopped. So, basically, the theology kind of like behind this is that seeking after the Lord should be your first priority. The circumstance of this psalm is that David he's running from his third son Absalom, who who was he was in the wilderness in Judean the Judean wilderness, yes. So you see David with absolute, like, he doesn't know what's going to happen. Like, he doesn't know what's going to happen now, but or in the future, or you could see that he's in darkness of what his future holds. But he trusts in the Lord because he knows that right now he will be faithful to him. He knows that in the past he has been faithful to him, and he knows that in the future he will continue to be, because that is who God is. Our response to Psalm 63 should be three things that we would do in the past, in the present, the past, and the future. So our first response is that we must seek God's in the present, seeking him as our first priority, which relates to verses 1 through 5. So when I got to Boyce, and I just my first priority should have been to fall down on my face before the Lord and ask him to just surround me with his presence, that I would be comforted, that I would cling to the love that he has for me, that the word says that he has for me. But alas, I did not. And we should have a desire for his presence and love more than the personal comfort that we desire in whatever circumstance that the Lord has allowed us to be in. I feel like that is just, it relates back to, we can go back to verse 3 and see like what this seeking his presence is concentrated on. It says in verse 3, because your steadfast love is better than life, my lips will praise you. God's love is not changing. It doesn't change. It does not change regardless of our circumstance that he has allowed us to go through, whether we are in the valley or we're up in the mountain and everything is just grand. We should chase after him with a heart of worship that desires just to have nothing more than the comfort of knowing that whatever season in life we are experiencing or whatever circumstance we're in, that we would just fall down on our faces before him. The second thing that we must remember to do is that we must remember the power of God that he has, that we have seen in the past. So this goes to verses 6 through 8. When you look back on God's faithfulness to you, you can see how much power he had. Like, we are powerless in all these circumstances. We're defenseless. We're like babies. But he is God, and he no matter what is going on, he comes in and he can swoop us in, and we can look back and see what his purpose was, what his intention was, which was to grow us and teach us, to make us, to sanctify us, and to make us more dependent on him for what we are dealing with in the present. We can look back on the past power that he has displayed in our circumstances, and know that he will without fail be faithful to us, and he will continue to be, because that is who he is. Because the promises in the Bible and the Word, they do not change. They're not contingent on us, our circumstances, what is going on in the world, because he is all authority. He upholds us. Like it says in verse 8, it says, my soul clings to you. Your right hand upholds me. David has a trust in the Lord, because he has seen the power that God has displayed in his life, and how he never fails to display who he is, which causes us to worship him all the more. The third and final thing is that we must anticipate that God will deliver us from whatever circumstance that we are in, and whatever season we are in. This relates to verses 9 through 11. David is running from Absalom, his third son, and you see that He is trusting that God will vindicate him, that he will silence his enemies, that he will bring justice. And even though we're not in the same situation, we're not running from our children, fearing for our lives kind of thing, or whatever, we can expect that God will be just as faithful to us as he was to David. The really great thing that I love about this, finally, is verse 11 when it says, "But the king shall rejoice in God. All who swear by him shall exult, for the mouths of liars will be stopped." So we see that God does not allow us just to sit in this period of darkness, that we can look to the future of wherever we're in, and we know that he will not leave us there forever, that he has a plan and a purpose that is greater than what we feel is our absolute need, because he is all-knowing, he is gracious, he is merciful, he's good. And everything that he allows us to be in, everything that he allows us to experience, is because his timeline and his plan is much greater than ours. So, all that to be said, we must deny ourselves and put seeking God as our first priority, no matter what circumstance we're in, because of who God is and who God has been and who God will be, and that in the midst of our circumstances, he will always be faithful to us, and that he will use whatever circumstance we're in to grow us and teach us, so that we can learn to cling to him and everything, that we can praise him and worship him and be joyful. Like in James 1:2-4, it says, "Count it all joy, my brothers, when you meet trials of various kinds, because it produces steadfastness," and blah blah blah. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, so I hope that this is edifying and is encouraging, and that you would seek God as a first priority.